Welcome to the Why Not Us podcast. We're just a few dudes navigating life and talking about it. Thanks for listening.
Jordan, are you playing with Riley here? Is
Yeah,
is
we're
that what's going on?
playing fetch.
So Jordan's going to be playing fetch the whole night.
Doesn't
Here we
want to
are.
stop.
It's May the 4th be with you, gentlemen, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I
also
didn't
my
realize that
also
somebody
my also my brother-in-law's birthday, so that's how I remember that usually. So shout out Kurt. He will not be listening to this or watching probably, but if he is, shout out to you, Curtis.
you only have one brother-in-law, right?
I've got two.
Two. Oh, I'm in on Kelly's side. That's my bad.
One on Kelly's side, one on
That's what I
Kelly's side.
meant. That's
Yeah.
what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Special episode tonight, guys. Special episode, episode 29. And we are bringing on a guest for the second time.
we did say 30 was like our hey, time to bring people on.
So here
And
we are.
look,
We're ahead of
pretty daggone-
schedule, as far as I can tell, Joey.
I would say so because this will be our second one.
Yeah. Viewmaster Mike liked one of my videos, by the way, the other day, and I was like, what's up, man? And then
Dude, he's the man. Like him.
Have you
I haven't
seen
seen him
any
at the park
games
yet.
this year,
Granted, we've only had a
Joey?
couple homestands. What's that?
You seen him any yet this year at the game?
No, I haven't. We've only had a couple homestands, and I've only been in the outfield like one time. Well, one time so far, and that would be probably the only time I would see him based on where he usually sits. So I've been lower level, but this month I'm in the outfield a bunch, so I might run into him. If I see him, I'll definitely say hi to him. So
Yeah.
for whatever
Tell him
reason,
you got another
Go ahead.
quarter an hour by picketing.
dude, and I mean, we can give an update on the Usher situation real quick. I mean, we
let's
finally.
hear it. Before we get into
finally
that, though, let's talk about who we're bringing on later on, so that people know
yeah.
early. So our guest this evening is going to be Ty Compton, which is the head coach of the University of Pikeville basketball team. Ty and I, we have a long history together. We went to school together, lived together for a little bit, and he kind of started from like the bottom and worked his way all the way up to head coach, and was announced the head coach a couple of years ago. Had a rough couple of years because of COVID. But yeah, we're bringing on Ty as a guest tonight. We're going to ask him some questions. We're going to interview him for about 20, 30 minutes and get more of his story. We've all got some questions prepared, so I'm looking forward to that. Southwest Virginia boy too, which Jordan's probably got some Southwest Virginia stuff to talk about tonight.
I have two great questions and two fun facts.
All right, great. All right.
One of them you may know on the fun fact. I don't know.
Okay. So going to be a really good conversation. So definitely stick around for that. Joey, sorry I cut you off there.
Oh, you're good. We just agreed to a new contract. Unfortunately, everybody gave in, man. I don't know how to describe it other than that. That was what was a little off-putting by it all. And
what do you mean?
Everybody talked a big game. So we were going on strike
right.
Thursday. Weren't working the game. By Tuesday, our union leaders, who are elected officials by the union, I was already in the union. I didn't elect these people or whatnot, had already met and agreed to a new contract that the only real change was a 5-cent bump in back pay. That we were then supposed to. You heard me correctly.
Dude, that's silly.
And I just was very confused by the whole situation beyond that. And I don't know if somebody got a handout. I'm not saying that. I don't know these people. I'll be honest with you guys. But it was just a little off-putting, a little disheartening, and the whole situation anyway with how the Pirates, I thought, handled it. Because again, we weren't asking for even what other parks get. That's what was so confusing to me, right? And I'm okay with that, right? I just don't get what happened. I really don't, from a perspective of you talked a big game. You talked about how you were going to fight for these people and how they weren't getting enough money. And then we officially voted this past Sunday on it. But because our leaders had agreed to this contract, they told us to go back to work. So we ended up working the next 2 series, and then we voted officially on this past Sunday, and it was, not even close. I didn't even go, man. I've just been off put by it all, and like just bummed is the best way to put it. I
That's
haven't
unions for you, folks.
just haven't been enjoying being at the park like I want to be honest with you.
You should just like quit that job and go to the park and enjoy it not working.
I could. That's something that I've considered, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't get it, man. Like you went to the media, you like were ready to go, and then all of a sudden, it just was a little bummer. Like is the best way to put it. And you probably can hear my voice a little bit, but
Was
yeah,
there
man.
like
Even like we have one like usher trustee. Like each person had a representative, right? There's a president, there's a vice
okay, I
president,
was
and then
going
like
to ask.
there's someone for the ushers, there's someone for the greeters, there's someone for the ticket takers, there's someone for the ticket sellers, and the usher guy even like sent out an email the night before the vote and was like, we should just take it, guys. We should just take it at this point. And I was just like, what the hell happened? Like, and that's what's so off-putting is like we weren't even asking for more money that like compared to everybody else. Like we weren't even getting ourselves to even like a decent wage comparatively to Pittsburgh sports compared to DC sports, and they just rolled over. So it just really bummed me out.
Dang.
Tony Soprano got his cut. Who cares about everybody else?
I guess, man. I don't know. I really don't know. So
what happens now? Just things go back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I worked 5 of the last 6 games we had 2 weeks ago. I'd say 2 weeks ago, about 10 days ago. And then the next series starts tomorrow. I won't be working this series, obviously, because I'm going to California, driving to California starting Saturday morning.
Gosh, that is going to be so awesome.
Saturday morning, probably like 8 a.m., I'll be heading to California.
And man, people love your stories whenever you're traveling. It is great.
I don't know. I've got to figure out a better way to make it more exciting. That's the only
don't change
only
a thing.
issue.
I think it's really exciting.
The only big issue with it is it's like these aren't like fun things we get to do because they're literally I'm usually doing this as a favor for somebody else, obviously one, and I'm getting compensated. Don't get me wrong, folks, but I'm also like on a schedule. Like I've got a life to live outside of doing this, so I've always got somewhere or something that I need to be at. So I don't have much time to enjoy it. We're hoping this trip, maybe in the evenings, we can enjoy some stuff. But again, we're trying to get to California by Wednesday. My flight is Wednesday evening to fly back east. So I can be here maybe Thursday for a little bit of work. And then I've got to be at a couple events Friday and Saturday. So that's like we got a little bit of a time crunch there for me. So hopefully we're able to enjoy some things and see some things. We'll see.
Are you working weddings again this year?
Yeah. So that's what I had agreed. I'm not kidding. Like probably 3 or 4 months ago to work 2 weddings this coming weekend because there's 2 girls that are in charge of the venue that are there on day of, and one is going on vacation more or less or doing something. So they asked me to kind of be her fill-in. So when I promise something like that, I'm not the kind of guy who wants to just bail on something like that. So
if y'all didn't know, Joey likes to burn the candle at both ends.
Maybe that too, man. Maybe that too. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I was talking to Robbie tonight, and he's crazy, man. They just took their kids on a cruise, and I was like, dude, that's gotta be the worst idea. What's that?
I'd love to be on a cruise somewhere right now.
Dude, but they took 5 kids, 4 of them under 5 years old on a cruise. Can you imagine?
He's got a litter of kids, Jones. Like,
but can you imagine? Like, and think about this, Jones. Have you ever been on a cruise? First off, you can't fit all those kids in one room.
No.
So then you've got 2 parents, right? They're gonna have to split up the kids, right?
Yeah.
He told me tonight briefly when we were talking, they couldn't fit the stroller down the hallway. It wasn't big. It was too big. So like,
I thought he had
carry
4 kids. He's got 5 kids.
Yeah,
he's got 4 of his own. The 5th one is from his wife's previous relationship.
It doesn't matter. It's his kid, right? There's 5 kids.
Yeah. They take
that he's looking
after. Right. They fit the child. Yeah, but she's not a kid. She's like a middle schooler.
Okay.
But
children.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine? And like,
that's insane.
I was like, dude, you'll never go again, will you? And he's like, no, it's one of the worst ideas we've ever had. Um,
Yeah, not probably
but that's what
relaxing at all, that's for sure.
well, that's the thing, and that's my point now. I'm like, can you imagine us having to drive all 5 of them across the country? I don't that's not a good idea.
Hmm.
So that's why we are doing it on our own and taking the 2 dogs, and they'll fly out later. So, but yeah,
So
so
what's the logistics here? You gotta fly
fl- flying to
first
DC.
to
Yeah, flying to
DC.
DC into Dulles Saturday morning first thing, 6 a.m. Landing 7:30. Probably hop in the car by 8 with him. He's
Okay.
driving a car to the airport on Friday night. He's gonna Uber home, and he's gonna drive the second car when he picks me up Saturday morning, and we'll just take the other car that's been there overnight and hit the road, man. So I
So
think first
it's
stop.
you and him both are going to be riding together with the
No,
dogs
no,
across the
two
country.
separate cars. Two separate cars.
Okay.
So, and then we'll think first stop's going to be Chicago. And then I say Chicago,
Chicago.
it's gonna be south of Chicago. We're not gonna like go up into the city. But from there you can kind of take 2 different routes. And I think we're gonna be taking the northern of the 2 routes just because we think there's more cities and more things to see along the way.
Are you going to follow them there?
They're
Or
flying.
you or what, you're getting to Chicago and then you're getting a car, right? And then you're driving from there to California. How's this working again?
Did you not listen to anything I just said?
Yeah, follow, man. Keep up.
I'm trying to follow.
Damn.
You're going to DC and then you're driving to Chicago.
That's the first stop of the trip.
Okay. And then you're getting in an airplane in Chicago.
No, that's just the
No.
first stop.
You're driving all the way to California. That's what we're getting at here, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Right. That's what I was saying.
You
You
said
guys are
you said, are you following them there? I'm like, no,
no, you're
the
riding
wife
in
and the
two
kids are.
separate cars. Are you all
Yes.
driving together there in 2 separate cars? Or are you going to be going ahead of them and doing your own
Well, no,
thing?
we're just gonna try to keep up with each other. Yeah, that's the goal.
Right.
But the
That's
kids are
how
flying.
did y'all
Kids
not
are
get
flying.
that? How'd y'all not understand that when I was asking that?
Because you asked, are you following them? Like, no,
Yeah,
the
I was like,
wife
What
and
did you
kids
think
are
I meant?
flying.
I was like, who am I following? I don't know. We're gonna be riding together. We're tag teaming this. But the first stop is gonna be Chicago for us. Is our I say stop like big city. The funny thing is like we're gonna drive right through Pittsburgh, like or right around Pittsburgh. That's where the
Oh,
the
I guess
trek
that is
takes
the way
us.
you would go. Yeah.
But like we have to go get the cars. Like I have to find some way to get the cars, and that was the most logical way for me to fly down there and get them. So
Dude,
because
it's
they've
going to
sold their
take you
house already.
forever.
That's their thing. They've already sold their house. So they move out like tomorrow. So
You definitely won't be able to go at your pace. That's for sure.
oh yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like I said, it's really honestly it's really just what the dog's pace wants to be. How much the dogs have to want to get out and do whatever they need to do. So since it's just me and him and 2 dogs, so
Yeah. Our dog travels pretty well. She can make it for a long time, but we try to stop every, 3 or 4 hours or whatever,
for
depending on where
sure,
we're
for sure.
going. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we'll just figure it out, and we kind of want to watch the Kentucky Derby a little bit if we can on Saturday. That's Saturday evening, so we're
Oh
trying to
yeah.
stop
You gonna be
briefly and
making
watch
any
it.
bets?
I don't know, man. Probably put like a couple bucks down. Nothing insane. I literally haven't done a ton of research yet. I wish I had done more. Um, but I probably could have carved more time out at work as opposed to doing real work. But I got a guy I work with he's it's a PA bred horse, so he's kind of partial to it. It's called Angel of Empire. That's his favorite pick of the weekend. But word on the street is the favorite might scratch tomorrow morning, so that would really put a wrench into things.
They sure are falling.
It's called Forte is the name of the horse, and they think it might have a bone bruise from a training session this morning, but it hasn't been officially announced yet. So, but the horse racing Twitter world is a buzz. So
Nice.
but
Nice.
yeah. So what else going on? We haven't been on here in what 2 or 3 weeks? 2 weeks? Because you were sick, Jones, right?
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
You were down for the count.
That was the absolute worst. So I had adenovirus, and the way it feels like you got COVID and the flu, and then adenovirus, you also get pink eye
What?
as a symptom. So I had pink eye in both of my eyes. So they were like glued together. because they were so goopy and, itchy and just really sucked. And then I just felt horrible because I had the other symptoms that were kind of like flu-like symptoms. So I had the fever, I had the fatigue. So I basically laid flat on my back for like 4 or 5 days and did absolutely nothing until I got better.
Wow. I didn't realize it was
And
that bad.
it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I couldn't do anything. It was
And do you think you
awful.
got it from like Felix's daycare or something like that?
Yeah,
Or did
he
Felix?
had it the week
Okay.
before.
Oh,
And so he actually had adenovirus and rhinovirus together, which is wild.
These are things I've never heard of. You, Joey?
We had never
no.
heard of them either until this,
No clue.
But we actually had to spend a few hours in the ER with him because his
Ugh.
temperature got up to 104.8, which is really, really high. So we were in the ER with him, and then you can't really do anything except for, take Tylenol, ibuprofen. There's really nothing else you can do. And then
Just let it pass.
making sure you're getting enough fluids, like control the temperature. And then my eyes started getting red, and I was like, oh no, maybe it's just going to be pink eye. Maybe that's all I'll get, and then be good after that. And then a couple days go by and I just get floored, man. It just hit me all at once. I'd
Mm.
actually ran with Penny Friday morning. We did like 4.5 miles. And I had like pink eye, during that, but it wasn't like bothering me so bad that I couldn't like move my body. And then that afternoon, I just like boom, it hit me. And I was just like, I can't do anything.
Ugh.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Did you lose a bunch of weight too then because you couldn't eat or what? Or could you eat?
I could eat. I was eating pretty well. There was a couple evenings where I didn't eat that much, but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, there was a couple times where I just didn't feel like I couldn't
Yeah.
eat anything because I was nauseous. Because I did puke a couple times. That was a symptom
Mm.
I had. So it was like all the worst symptoms possible, plus having pink eye and two eyes.
That's brutal, dude.
It was
That's brutal.
really, really brutal. But thankfully, I got through it, and I feel a ton better. So, yeah,
Well, good. Yeah. Then
it just knocked me out for a while.
you had that, and then Jordan was golfing, so he couldn't talk to us
Yeah,
while he was
Jordan,
golfing. He
how's
was
the golf been?
Huh? That's good.
How's
I
the
had a good
golf
weekend.
been?
A good weekend. Went to Charleston for the weekend. Or Folly Beach. Folly Beach, I guess.
When I went to Charleston, we didn't get to go over to Folly. How is it over there?
It's okay. I like North Carolina beaches better than South Carolina beaches. The sand and water aren't as great unless the further south you go.
Yeah, yeah, the
I
water's
just shoot.
just kind of dirty.
I
Uh,
just shoot him.
86 on Friday, 91 on Saturday.
Any chirpers
Nice.
out there? Any birds out there? I didn't even check the app. I didn't think.
A couple. The guy I played with, he's pretty good. He had I don't know, he shot like a 79 on Saturday at the Kiowa Oak Point.
That's pretty good. Did you
I
get
say that's
paired with
good.
somebody, or is it somebody you knew?
A guy I know. His
Okay.
his fiance is a family attorney as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Must be
Sweet.
nice.
Yeah.
I haven't
79. I would die for 79.
I haven't played in a while. When's the last time I played? I can't even remember.
Got to get out there. Which you have more responsibilities at home than Joey.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just haven't had time. What I should do is play like during the week, some like when he's out at daycare, like go in the morning and play 9 holes or something, because I can knock that out pretty quick.
Yeah, or find a league. Join a Tuesday night league or Wednesday night or something.
Can't do nights. That's pretty much off the table.
Oh.
Can't do that.
Kelly's like, nope, can't do that. Can't.
I go get him from daycare at around like 4:30 every day. It takes about 25 minutes to get there. We get
Where's he in
back
daycare at?
in Prestonsburg.
Oh well, yeah, you do got to drive then.
Yeah. So when we get back, then it's like it's dinner time. So you got to get his dinner ready. And then after his dinner, then it's bath time. and then it's like bottle time before bed, and then it's like you put him to bed around like 7 o'clock. So it's kind of a lot for one person if I'm gone. But there's times where we tackle it ourselves. It's just easier to do it with two people.
Sure.
But
You could be having double that, like father of twins. I don't know how.
I know. I know. I don't
One's
either.
got to be bad. I don't know how two is.
And he's like, that's all I've ever done. So we just like do it. We just do it,
Yeah, right.
It's just the norm to him.
Yeah. 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 I wonder how the clergy's doing. Probably pretty good.
I think so. Yeah. Last
Yeah.
time I talked to
With-
him, he's at like a work function. He was eating deviled eggs with caviar on top of it.
Caviar.
Love that. Love deviled eggs part, not caviar part.
That's what.
What did we decide? You sent that text about you and him working on the thing. What weekend did we decide on golf, or is it the
Oh,
one
yeah,
I
the
can't?
golf
He never
trip.
came. He never came back. He never
Okay.
came back with what the date was.
And I told you
think-
guys that.
I think it's the third weekend. I said the last
it?
weekend. I actually think it's the third.
Well, and I told you guys it's no big deal for me anyway. If I don't, I'm not upset if you guys do a weekend I can't
We're
go.
upset. We're upset, Joey.
Well, my point is I've got so much stuff going on anyway. Like I don't even know. I need like
the fall's
like-
tough. If we can agree to do it in the summer, it would be easier. It'd be
I need
cheaper.
sure. I need like 3 more streams of income and like 2 more of me to like be able to do all the things we have to do in the
Don't
next.
we all wish we had 3 other streams of income?
Well, yeah, but I just mean like because we have so many weddings and things going on, and I'm just like
just a lot of personal stuff through the year.
yeah. Well, even at that time of the year is what it's going to be. Like I'm looking at it, and then my one buddy was like, "Hey, you should come to Oktoberfest with us in Germany," and I'm like, "Dude, I would really love to do that." But like, I don't know how I can like swing it. Like,
I mean, you should definitely go to that. We can go play golf another time. You may
Well,
not get to go to Oktoberfest again. So
well, no, they're gonna go again. That's not the issue.
Oh.
It's just like I love like those things. Like I haven't been to Germany in a long time, and I would love to go back.
I've never been. I'd love to go.
Give me an excuse to go over there when some friends of mine are going who've been before, more or less, and like have lived there before. Like that's the best time to go, in my opinion. To those places, sure, it's fun to like adventure on your own and do those things, but it also helps to like know somebody that knows the way of the land, can show you some places.
100%.
In my opinion, personally, that I've been places where it's just been a lot more helpful to you you don't have to worry about those things. Like show you how to use a train in a foreign country. Like, Lord, you can figure it out, sure, but
that sounds like a
then you're gonna be upset when you're on the wrong one, going the wrong way. Like that kind of thing. That
you all have more of a desire to see the world than I do.
this is true.
Man, I want
I'm
to see it
fine with
all,
tropical vacation destinations. Going to Europe does not excite me.
Doesn't excite you. No.
If I get on a wrong train in Wyoming, I know the United States. I can figure it out. I don't know other fucking countries.
You wouldn't be handling that okay either, Jordan. You would not be in a good spot.
Yeah.
You would enjoy it once you got over there.
I travel fine in the United States. In another country that they don't speak what I speak, that's a problem.
Everybody speaks English.
Well, they may not
Mostly.
speak Appalachian.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about his English, Jones?
So I don't know.
They understood me pretty well, but maybe I don't have as thick.
I don't think you're not as twangy as I am.
Yeah, lost my hey si twang, man.
Does anybody
That's
have
the end
any
of the point.
things
No, I'm just
going on? Anybody do anything this weekend? Joey's driving across the country, so whatever. But
I will be here this weekend. Yeah, we're not going anywhere for the first time in a long time.
yeah, you've been keeping the roads hot.
Yeah, and this week has been crazy. I shot a couple videos this week, and last night I shot a video on UVAY's campus, and it took me about like a month and a half to plan this video. But basically, I surprised students and gave away $500 for them to give $1 billion pitch and do it in 60 seconds. And we
I saw your post about it, Jones.
Well,
yeah. So it was like a promo for my entrepreneurship conference that's coming up in August. But it was a pretty cool thing, man. It just took a lot of planning, and I was stressed out so bad yesterday. but it ended up going okay.
What pitches won? That's what we need to know.
Well,
Was
we
it
can't. They
anything?
can't tell us yet, right?
Oh, you can't tell us?
No, we can't. It was a solar flares, I think what they call the company. So they come up with this idea of how, there's a problem of how the batteries don't last a very long time on the automatic cars or the electric cars. So to have like a solar component that would hook up to the battery, so you could get charge basically on your car all the time from the sun.
Another person that hates gas, I see. I
Which
didn't know if
is
we had any
that's pretty
bacon
cool.
barrel
No bacon barrels.
ideas. That's what
There
I
was
was
one.
asking.
There was one kid that wanted to start a franchise food business, starting out as a food truck. Was going to call it Soupies with a Z at the end, and he was going to,
Soupies.
yeah, he was going to franchise some restaurants. There was another idea. It had to do with a stoplight. So like, like on a traffic light, you don't know exactly when it's going to turn like green or whatever. There's not like a countdown or whatever.
Yeah.
So she suggested to have like a countdown in the circle, the red, yellow, or green or whatever to give you a time, because she has like severe anxiety with that kind of stuff. And she was like, I wish I knew, like if I was stopped at a red light, how long it was going to take before it was going to turn green.
That seems like someone's in a hurry.
I guess.
That seems like more of a I'm in a hurry to get somewhere than anxiety.
Yeah, I guess. But what we had them there. They thought they were just coming there for pizza, and then we filtered them into the theater room, which the theater on campus is awesome. Jordan, you've probably been there before. It was really cool. And then we had somebody kind of like say, hey, we're getting ready to start the event. And we shut the lights completely like black. We did a blackout. And then the Creator Con logo popped up on the screen. And then I came out in these like LED glasses in pitch black dark.
Bet you loved it.
It was so fun, man. And then we
How many
flipped the
people were
lights
there?
on. I was
Some
like,
people were.
there were probably like 15 students.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I was if we would have had more time to promote it.
Sure, there'd be more. Yeah, of course.
And it was it's toward the end of the year. Students are kind of checked out. But I thought like the turnout was pretty good. Because the whole day I'm like, there's going to be nobody showing up, like
that's what you got to worry about that. I'm sure you're right.
And then I was like, okay, we need a plan B here. We need to figure out if no students come, what's our other option for, doing a video? Because I've got a videographer there. I'm already paying him. So, we've got to figure out what we're going to do if if no students show up. So I was thinking through that more than I was thinking through like plan A.
Yeah.
So man, it was stressful, but it turned out to be awesome, and got some good content.
That's great. Yeah, I saw your videographer. I meant to ask you about that in the chat. In the mirror of the comedians.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was that was the only like flash you got of him. I was like, oh, that must be Jones's guy or something. I figured it was your buddy.
The old Jeremy.
I don't know his name. Yeah, I figured it was a different guy, but then I think you guys might even mention his name in the video.
That was a fun video too.
If you guys have some time, go check out Jones's comedian buddy, who he posted about a 30-minute video of a what would you call it, MTV style cribs?
It's kind of it's sort of like that. It's sort of like behind the scenes with him at his house, talking about like how he creates videos, some of the stuff he uses in his skits and sketches. And then we went to one of his businesses toward the end of because he owns a coffee shop and we do business together there.
And I don't know him, Jones, but I'm trying to watch the video and I'm like, nothing he said I could take seriously. That's what I think I took from it, is what I think his personality is. But it was just hard because I don't know him. I was like, I don't know this guy. It's just like, I think none of this is serious he keeps talking about, but I'm not sure.
Most of it is not serious.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
The podcast episode that we did was really funny. The first part that he said was, I was going to start a mini donut truck, but a mobile meth lab sure sounds pretty nice. And then we started the podcast. Oh,
I also
okay.
Loved your transition, by the way, from his yard to the coffee shop. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was good. So go watch this video. Go to my YouTube channel and watch those. All right. So we got Ty coming up. It's 9:00. So we're gonna end this one and bring Ty on. We're going to interview him and be with him for 20, 30 minutes. All right, we are back. And we have a special guest, as we mentioned in the beginning of the episode. We have Mr. Ty Compton, head basketball coach of the University of Pikeville's basketball team. Ty, welcome.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys letting me come on and chop it up with you tonight.
There's going to be millions of people that watch this, Ty. Let me just tell you. This is episode 29, and we said that we were going to get really good at this at episode 30. And we were going to have, how many more guests were we supposed to have before 30? I can't remember, but you're a second guest.
Well, you've not got a lot of experience with that in the previous 28 episodes, I guess.
What's funny is that like every time we do this, we're like, we're going to bring on some more guests. We're going to do it. We've got some people to bring on. And then I was like, you know what? I saw Ty the other day. I'm just going to get him on here. We're just going to
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. No, I appreciate it. And, it's always good to catch up and always good to just chop it up when we get a chance. Life gets busy and things get in the way.
Yeah. And new dad here too, fellas.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yep. She's 3 months old. She just actually went down. It's not been a great evening, but it's been an evening for sure.
Well, soon enough, you'll be just watching film with her right on your lap there, right?
Well, right now so far this week, my days have started with a 4 every morning.
Oh yeah,
and it's not been great, but I'm getting used to it. This is going to be past my bedtime. I've been getting in bed between 9 and 9:30 just because I know that 4:30 alarm clock is going to come guaranteed every morning. So this is going to push my limits, make my Friday hard.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. This is sure special, I tell you.
Yeah, man.
I'm in a similar boat there. Felix is still not sleeping through the night, so you have that to look forward to for the next 7 or 8 months still, probably.
Well, and I'll give my wife credit. She handles like the first awakening. That's usually around 2:00, 3:00, something like that. A little earlier than that maybe, but I handle the real morning duty, I guess. She handles the afternoon duty.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive in here. So obviously, Ty, you and I know each other very well. Went to school together, lived together for a little bit, and I've kind of watched you sort of grow in this basketball career from the very, very beginning, which has been really remarkable. I mean, you started out as a student assistant and you were washing towels for a while, and just doing the hard work and just kind of worked your way up. And now you're head coach, which is just awesome to see, really. But for the people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and then kind of like your journey and how you got into this position.
Yeah, sure. And I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version of it and get through it quickly. But I'm from Grundy, Virginia, originally born and raised, and graduated from Grundy in 2006, and actually went to thought I wanted to play football. That was what I enjoyed doing. That was what I was probably best at. And went to Kentucky Christian University as in their first recruiting class. UVA Wise's coach Dane Dameron was actually the coach there at the time, and just wasn't ready for that. Wasn't ready to get away from home. At that point in time, Grayson, Kentucky seemed like it was a different world from Grundy, Virginia. I felt like I was so far away, and just wasn't prepared for that. So I went back home and got my associate's degree at Southwest Virginia Community College. And while I was back home, the coach for my senior year of high school was Greg Reif. And he had asked me if I had any interest in coaching our middle school team since I'd come back home. And my mom and dad had both coached basketball my whole life, and basketball was what I was passionate about. So I said, sure, that'd be fantastic. So I was 19 years old and was coaching the middle school team and got to be an assistant with the JV team there at home and coached a couple games as a head coach there when the head coach had an illness, and just loved it. It was something I was passionate about, and kind of made the decision at that point that I wanted to try to get into college coaching somehow, some way. And, being from where we're from, that's not a real common path. That's not something that I didn't really know anybody that had done that, didn't have a golden ticket. Richie Riley, that used to work here at Pikeville and is now the head coach at South Alabama, he talks about the golden tickets, and I didn't have one. I didn't have anybody that played. I didn't have any experience myself. I just didn't have anything. So had made the decision I wanted to come to Pikeville, and just met with Coach Wells, and went in and just told him I wanted to be involved and that this was what I thought I wanted to try to do. And obviously he was very skeptical at the time. I'm sure he had a lot of people that did the same thing,
Because you didn't really know him.
I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
No. And it was looking back on it, thinking about some of the experiences that I've had as I've went on in my career and some of the conversations I've had with people, just knowing what goes into it and how hard it is to start. I'm sure he was thinking, that, we'll see if he wants to hang around or not, but it just stuck. It worked out. Like you said, I started as a student manager and just kind of did what I had to do. I run the clock, I ran swept the floor, did the laundry, packed the gear, just whatever. And I've been lucky enough to hold every position that our program has to offer since. I've been able to be a part-time assistant, a graduate assistant, full-time assistant, associate head coach, and then was lucky enough in 2020 to be named the head coach. But, the journey's been long. It's been certainly bumpy. Certainly has tested my patience and tested my commitment. And, I've had opportunity, every time I felt like I needed a career advancement of some sort, or, within the industry, it's really uncommon for people to stay in the same place for a very long period of time. They move around, and working for different people is kind of how you build your own library, I guess. And it's kind of frowned upon, honestly, if you haven't done that. And, I was lucky enough to work with a bunch of assistants over that period of time. This is finishing my 14th year involved with the program. And I've worked with so many different people in graduate assistant roles and assistant roles, and, was able to learn from those guys while always working for Coach Wells, who's my boss now still. So, it's an awesome experience. It's been a trying journey, but it's been a very rewarding journey, and lucky to be able to do it. I was born here in Pikeville, actually. So to be able to kind of come full circle back and go to school here and find, my dream career in an area that there's just not a ton of opportunity for it, and there's not a ton of people that do it. It's overwhelming to think about sometimes, but I'm extremely blessed and extremely lucky to be able to do what I do.
Yeah. And you were with Kelly for so long, and you all won a national title when I was
11 years. Yeah, we were part 2011. We won the national championship, and that was when we were living together still in college. And
dude, do you remember the video of the whole baseball team in our apartment whenever y'all won? We were going ballistic, man.
Yeah. And I honestly, I think back to those times in our apartment there on Map Drive.
We won't talk about too much of the apartment.
No. I think back to some of those times, and honestly, man, like, there was a lot of I think back, and I think that I had to show a lot of discipline during that time period to be able to do what I was hoping to do, and to stay focused on that, to try to graduate as well. There was a lot of times where I think I learned to focus. I learned to sacrifice, I think, a little bit is a good way of putting it.
The baseball team helped you.
Yeah, they did.
Groom you in this position.
I learned that, the pain of doing what you need to do versus what you want to do. I learned that early, and thankfully I started that way, and it was much easier to do that along the way in the journey since I started doing that. I did some odds and ends jobs and early in college and in high school, but professionally speaking, this is what I've done my entire professional career, and just turned 36. So it's never known anything else.
Yeah. I don't want to jump in here and ask all the questions here, Joey and Jordan. I know y'all have some too, so I'm gonna turn it over to you guys.
I got one. So I went to UVA, so I remember the Mid-South days. I do have one question. Is Trevor Zeddy the biggest villain in Pikeville College UPIKE history on the men's hoop side?
He certainly embraces it the most, that's for sure.
He is an interesting character.
He is, man. Trevor's he's a different kind of dude, man. He's a great guy. If he's in your corner, he's in your corner. He'll fight to the death for you. He went to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. He was inducted to our Athletics Hall of Fame, and came back and got to see him, got to spend some time with him there. And he's actually we played Thomas More the last few years in the Mid-South Conference up in Crestview Hills in Northern Kentucky, and that's where Trevor is living now, is right there in the Erlanger area. And we had Trevor come out. He spoke to our team and spent some time with our guys. So he's doing really well. He played for a really long time. COVID kind of brought him back home and just really never rekindled what he wanted to do going overseas. But he was overseas from the time he graduated to the time COVID happened. So
he had a good career over there too.
Yeah, he played really well. Played really well in some really good leagues, really well respected leagues, and just now trying to adjust to the real world, I guess. Working a real job and just trying to fit in and doing that. Whereas he's as dedicated as anybody. He's maniacal when it comes to basketball and whatever he's committed to at that point in time. I mean, it kind of overtakes him, and basketball was that for a long time for him, and trying to adjust coming back home after living in, he's a free spirit. So living overseas and having to experience different cultures and different places, that was great for him. Like, it was right up his alley. But he certainly embraces the villain role for sure. He embraced it during his playing time. But I'm telling you what, man, there was a lot of times I was really happy that he was on our side. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, especially during the tournament, because he had some big games.
Yeah, he was. The moment was never too big for him. You actually had to dial him down a little bit in some instances, just because he wanted the moment so much. He played his best in the biggest games, and that's for an impact player, for a guy you're going to rely on. That's a trait that I wish was easier to evaluate and easier to find. But when you do find it, it's good to have.
Yeah.
My second question actually comes from Mr. Sutherland's fourth grade class at Sand Lake Elementary School. They want to know who the best basketball player that came out of the Grundy United Methodist preschool class of yours.
Well, I'd say that Jake Colley probably gets me on the court. Luckily I found a way to stick around in it and have made a little more money in the sport, I guess, than Jake. But playing wise, Jake had a pretty good career, man. That was a long time ago. That was right across from my grandparents' house. That was good stuff.
We talk about Jake's career as an intramural player all the time on the pod.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was just always, he was, and I guess Robbie was a little bit like that too, and some of those guys before him over there, but he was like, around home even then, he was bigger than everybody really for the most part.
Yeah.
And he was just skilled and could really shoot it. And he had the smarts to go with it, and it was, that was the thing, thinking back about it, I don't know that he was overly athletic or, vertically athletic, I should say. Like, he wasn't just a high flyer or wasn't super fast really, I guess, in comparison to, elite athletes. But he found a way to get it done and was really good. He was definitely the better player. There's no question. No question. I could be on the team, but he's going to get the shots. We got to get him the shot.
Get him the damn ball.
I've never seen Jake do anything poorly. I've always seen him, everything he's been good at athletically. I got a question for you. I mean, you've obviously been in it 14 years, as you said, and as a former director of basketball operations myself, what is for the people out there listening, we talk about some of our days when Jordan and I are both in college athletics. What's like the craziest thing that's happened to y'all on a road trip? I logistically, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a huge part. I mean, even here at UPIKE, I'm lucky enough to have have a director of operations, so to speak, and
Sure.
One of the graduate assistants kind of helps with that too. And we've been pretty lucky in that regard. Other than early on, you had the occasional bus breaking down or a flat tire or something crazy like that just you can't really help. For me, especially since I've been the head coach, I don't know that we've had anything crazy happen. Our guys are, I hate to tell on myself, I guess, but I'm very structured. I'm very schedule oriented. I
Sure.
just like it to be the way it is, and I don't. Maybe I put too much pressure on those guys to make sure it goes smoothly and to make sure it works the way that I'd like it to work. It's much less about me and much more about just keeping our guys in a rhythm and keeping our guys in a flow and just not giving them a reason to think about anything other than just it being the way it should be.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
And for sure. And they've done a really good job with that, a really, really good job with that. So aside from just meals being late or
The
missing
things you can't control,
for
Ty.
sure,
Or say, coach. That's what I would always tell coach. I would say, coach, look, I can call the restaurant. I can tell them a million times till I'm blue in the face. I want the food on the table. We're only going to be there 45 minutes. We show up, the food's not there. I can't do anything about it. Like, I can't tell it. I can't yell at anybody about it. I can maybe tip them less, but that's not going to do us any good.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to remember in the moment as the head coach. And I travel separate most of the time.
Okay.
Me and my associate head coach usually travel in a rental, and the guys ride the bus, and that gives us something on the road to kind of. We also have a vehicle that on the road that whoever can go ahead and
Sure,
try to get to some of those things too. So we've been lucky in that regard. And again, it's been a point of emphasis for us to have things go smooth. And I would say probably the biggest hurdle we've had is weather. You get out sometimes in the winter with the bus and trying to make that decision to come home or not come home. I can remember our conference tournament when I was an assistant. Our conference tournament was in Frankfurt at the time at the Frankfurt Convention Center, and it was the year that the tornadoes tore through McGoffin County and Morgan County, and we had lost an early afternoon game, and we were trying to decide whether we were going to stay there or come home. And the tornado warnings had been going off all day in Louisville, and they kind of went over with us. During the game, if there was a siren or a warning where to go and where to hide and that kind of thing. So we were all on high alert, and I was pushing to go home. Like when we lose those things, that's the last thing you want to do is stay there.
Absolutely.
All the other teams are there, and you just have to. It's just misery. So I just wanted to get home as soon as we could get home. And coach made a decision, to not. He just said, we don't need to push it. There's no reason to do that. And we would have literally been right in the middle of the tornado that tore through Salyersville.
Wow.
We went through the next day. And just the aftermath of everything. I mean, it was just totally destroyed, and there was debris everywhere, and we would have been literally right in the thick of it. So that's always one that kind of sticks out in my mind, just of a logistics decision that thankfully I wasn't in charge of. I would have led us right into the bad, but that kind of always is stuck in my mind now with my own decisions. If there's any risk of weather, any risk of something that could go catastrophically wrong, just stay. Just not worth it. And that's a hard thing. So
it really isn't, Ty, and I can't relate because I wasn't a head coach, but I was there every day with our head coach. Right, you're responsible for 15. I don't know how many players you have on the right, 15 to 20 kids and families. When you think about it, right, like they are in your watch. Like that's what I don't think people quite understand. Like these parents are entrusting you as a human to shepherd their children in 4 of the most important years of their life. And our coach took it very seriously. Like I'm sure you take it the same way, as one of his own. Like these girls were his own. And that's something that I think gets looked past a lot of times when it comes to collegiate sports in general, right? You can only help them so much, right? But you want to keep them structured enough where you talk about you want to help them as much as you can, but also they've got to grow in their own way.
Well, it's just more decisions to make, honestly, more. And, that was the biggest adjustment for me in becoming a head coach. And I feel like I'm much, much better at managing it now. But for the first year and a half of doing this job, decision fatigue was a real thing. It was just, I thought I had
You started right at COVID.
Yeah, I thought I had a good grasp on it because, Coach Wells let me be super involved with everything, especially the last 2 or 3 years. He was doing the AD's job as well. And, he wasn't, his office was over in the gym and our office is in the arena. So, he really wasn't even there with us, 9 out of 10 times. So I was kind of running all the day-to-day stuff of everything we were doing. And by then I'd been in it long enough. I mean, it's just checking boxes. We knew exactly how it should go and run and do. And, we'd keep him informed and bring him in when we needed to. But I thought that had prepared me for what I was going to have to step into. And, there's just, no preparation that gets you all the way ready for it until you just do it. And there's just, you don't realize how many decisions about just things, just everything. I mean, literally everything, you have to make a decision about. I mean, just down to the color of your jersey every little thing you make the decision about. And, I thought I had a great grasp on that and I didn't. And it really took a toll on me early.
Well, it's because you cared. That's the other thing, right?
Sure.
Like,
starting out too, like, I guess, even though the guys that I work with, Coach Chris has been with me. He's been on our staff for 5 years total. Coach Faulkner, I think, is finishing up 7 or 8. And we've worked together all that time, and I've kept those guys with me. And, just being in a different role as a head coach, I guess, even they were, hesitant to just make the same old decisions that they'd always made for themselves because they weren't sure if that was the way that I was going to want it to happen and play out. And, once we found our rhythm and once we've, kind of went down the road a time or two, it runs itself pretty much now. And they know kind of the expectation and everybody just kind of does what they do. We know now that graduation is upon us, we know kind of the next step and the things we're going to be working on, the things that are going to take our time. So, I guess I've had to make many less decisions now secondhand, but initially trying to get everything, exactly right in the way that you want it. It's been, it was tough. It was hard.
Yeah. We've talked about this a couple times on the pod before, but have you all ever forgotten the uniforms?
No. Our manager this year, and I hope somehow he watches this. I hope he listens.
We'll clip it for him.
So our manager this year forgot a set of practice gear on one of our road trips. And, he's unbelievable, does a phenomenal job for us.
Let's build him up first before we.
He is. I mean, he's honestly, I know he doesn't necessarily have the same career aspiration that I did at the time, but he approaches his role the same way that I approached the role when I was doing it. He takes it very serious. He's doing some JV recruiting stuff for us right now. He's doing a fantastic job. And but this one time he did not do a very good job. He forgot the practice gear, and he was scared to death to tell me. Just did not want to tell me. Just thought that, I just thought I was just going to go ballistic, which like I don't do on him. It's just for whatever reason he's made it such a big deal in his own mind. Sure. And I happened to be down in the lobby with a few of our freshmen, and they were Snapchatting or whatever back and forth nonstop. And I had gotten wind that Isaiah was going to come to me and tell me this, but he just didn't know how to tell me yet. And so I had those freshmen down there like snapping him and telling him like how ballistic I was going in the lobby, how furious I was about it, and like what I was saying about him, and like we were building it up like in this huge situation to where like he was really not looking forward to having to tell me. So
that's funny.
Managed when I was doing the JV, Nick Bowman and Nick is he's been
Nick.
He's been an associate head coach at Nicholls State Division I in the Southland. They just had a changeover of staff, so he's in the middle of jobs right now. But Nick and I were the GAs, and we were going to Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio, to play, and with our JV team. And we got up there, and Nick had the only time that I can remember that I didn't pack the uniforms. Nick did.
Oh wow!
And Nick, we packed a duplicate. We only had like 7 kids, so we only brought like 7 uniforms. And we packed a duplicate number, and so that kid had to play the entire time with a piece of tape
over the number.
Well, like we added like a 1 to it.
Yeah.
And so he just played with like at training tape on his uniform the entire time. So
I love stories
we've
like
not
that.
forgotten them, but we've had to improvise a time or two with
You
practice
adapted.
and uniforms. We've
That's
adapted.
that's smart of y'all, Ty. See, we put the players in charge of their practice gear. If they didn't bring it, it was on them to look like
No,
idiots.
that's part of me being the way I am.
I
We
hear you.
don't put them in charge of anything. If
No,
we want them to have it, we make sure they've got it.
of course. That way you know they're gonna have it because you
No
gave it to them.
question.
You handed it to
No
them.
question.
Sure.
They were hardcore over there at Radford, weren't they, Joey? Jeez.
Hey, but like Ty talks about, right? Coach wants his things a certain way, and it's fascinating because you talked about it earlier. You've been in one place for 14 years.
Yeah.
I was only at Radford for 5 years, and that's all. I only worked under one head coach. That was all I knew. So it always would be fascinating to me if I ever did go somewhere else or got back into college athletics.
What years
what
were you at
like
Radford?
I was there 5 years. What
What
years?
year? Yeah, what years?
2014 to 2019. I was the video guy 1 year, and then Dubbo for 4.
Gotcha.
So.
My associate coach Evan Faulkner played at Radford for 2
Okay.
years. He played at Radford for 2 years and transferred back to University of Charleston in West Virginia and finished, and then has been here with us. So
very cool. Was Greenberg his coach then? Maybe
he was. Yeah, he played for Brad.
Okay. That's what I figured.
We have all kinds of stories about Coach Greenberg.
I've heard some of them prior to me showing up. But we had a different head coach at that point when I got there. But because Ty, you and I are pretty much the same age. I'm 35. So
it's he's a little younger. He was, he played at Elliott County High School here. Was really, really good. Their teams were phenomenal. And he and his brother went to Northern Kentucky, and he went to Radford, and just a terrible match, in all honesty. Now looking back on it, him and Greenberg were just not a great match.
Oil and water, baby.
No question. No question.
I've got another question for you. So I know you really well, right? We've been friends for a long time, but what are you like in the locker room, like with the team? Like, what's your kind of style of coaching? I've never seen you.
It's probably more serious than I want it to be, in all honesty. Like I try to, I've tried to get better at that. The longer I do it and the more that I go, we're not, the guys are loose. We joke around. We have great relationships with all of them. But I do expect them to be able to turn the switch when it's
go time.
Go time, and when it's not. And some guys aren't capable of flipping that switch. So you kind of gotta gauge it differently, and you gotta have different relationships with all of them. But I would say that I'm probably a little more serious than I would like to be. Probably more about the business than I would like to be. There's just something competitively with me that kicks in, and I'm just, I'm an at all costs kind of guy. Like I just whatever we have to do it, we're going to do it, and we're going to win, and we're going to give it everything that we've got. And like, there's not going to be anybody that stands in our way, and just because they're not taking it serious enough, or they're not prepared, or they're not focused, or that kind of thing. Like you're not gonna do that to us. So it's getting better. It's getting better. We're a little more loose. And I think it matters what kind of guys you got too. Some guys you got to really put your thumb on, and some groups you got to really drag through the mud a little bit and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. And some groups you don't have to do that as much, as you can trust them and they prepare. So I would say the group that we've got last year, the group that we've got now, I'm able to be much more loose, much more open, much more free flowing with those guys, and much less, procedural than some of the guys teams that we've had in the past.
Yeah. So what's it like right now? Are you guys in recruiting mode right now? Or are you?
Yeah, we've got 3 scholarships left. We've returned quite a bit. But it's we lost, we're losing a few really good guys, really good players. So we're having to replace them with really good players. It's not necessarily like you just kind of go next man up, and we're expecting some growth and some some more production from some of our younger guys from this past season. But at the same time, you lose an All-American, you try to go replace them with an All-American. That's kind of what you do at that level. And that's the boat that we're in right now. And most of the time it happens a little later than this for us. It's a little later in the summer with recruiting. So, we're turning over all the rocks that we can right now, but trying to be patient and trying to make sure that we we get exactly what we need. And, you know, we'd have a great locker room right now. Like our guys really get along really well. So that's playing a much larger role. We brought in 15 new guys last year. So, I mean, it was a brand new everything.
Wow.
All new. So this year's not quite as much. We're trying to make sure that we kind of defend our culture and defend our locker room a little bit, make sure that we don't bring anything that's going to change the positive things that we have going on in there.
Nice.
Ty, let me ask you this. So I came to Radford and met Joey. I was at Union College for a year, and I told Joey how special the NAIA is, and it doesn't get enough credit in today's sports landscape as it should. Give us probably your best playing on the road in the Mid-South or in NAIA, because one of my memories stands out the most was playing at St. Catherine's, and they had that stage in the end zone, and at halftime they were playing the song, "If you want to see some ass, we better see some cash," and there was girls on the stage dancing, and they had to sweep up money before we started the second half.
Yeah,
And
St.
that was
Catherine
just
was a special
unreal.
place, sure.
That happened.
Yeah, St. Catherine was a special place for sure. It was it was an experience going down there and playing it. You know, it was going to be tough. You know, probably one of the worst places I've ever played. We've ever played, just in terms of facilities overall. But you know, they had some really good teams, really talented teams. JT Burton is the head coach at Tusculum now. He was the head coach down there during all that time. They were really talented. You know, I think St. Catherine was always really tough. You know, the Georgetown game with us is always really crowded. I mean, their gym is pretty small in relation to you know what we've got and some of the other teams, and you know it's always like 95 degrees in there. It's so hot. And when we're there, I mean, it was, you know, there's been several years where it's been standing room only, and there's been people out in the lobby, you know, kind of waiting to get in, and it's just those games have always been super wild and hectic. You know, they always get us down there, and we were able to knock them off. We beat them here the last couple of years. So those are always hectic. You know, Campbellsville can get rowdy for, you know, every so often, but we're leaving the Mid-South and going to the AAC next year. So we're going to be playing at Union and some of those different places. So, you know, Union went 24-0 this year in the AAC. So I guess we know who we got to beat.
Burton's good basketball coach.
That's not bad, right? 24-0.
Yeah.
They won the national championship year after I left, Joey.
Yeah, I remember.
It was terrible luck for me.
We did that year. That year we beat them by about 20, I think, at our place. The year they won the title. So that we still got them over that. The first game that I ever coached in college, was a scrimmage at Union against those guys. The first team I had here in the COVID year, and we went down and demolished them in that scrimmage. So hopefully we can do the same thing. Like I sure am hoping, but they're super talented. Coach Burton is phenomenal. He does a great job coaching those guys. It's gonna be tough for sure.
Who's the best player you've coached against? Obviously, you guys have had a ton of talent come through Pikeville. Who's the best player you've coached against in your 14 years there?
Best player that I've coached against, probably recently it's been EJ Onu that was at Shawnee State. He was a 7-foot dude that was player of the year, was a monster. He's in the D League. Or G League, I guess it is now. He's been bouncing around the G League. He had a ton of high major offers to grad transfer and go wherever he wanted. And he went on and played professionally. Just unbelievable. I mean, he won a national championship for Shawnee State his senior year. Essentially, he was just unstoppable, unbelievable shot blocker. Just impact the game a ton of ways. Campbellsville had a big kid several years ago. DeMontre Harris, I think was his name. He played at Florida and he played at South Carolina. He was, I think, all defensive team in the SEC at South Carolina.
Wow.
It was the year that we had KJ Manigault that year, his senior year. So KJ was the national player of the year for us.
He was
DeMontre
legit.
was like the runner up for conference player of the year to KJ. And if not for KJ, he would have had a great chance to be national player of the year too, probably. But he's certainly one that stands out. Georgetown's had a ton of guys over the years. Monty Wilson was really good. Vic Moses was one of the best players that we played against. Just Don't know how he ever got what he got done, but he did. They've had a ton of guys over the years. Trying to think. I know there's a bunch that I'm not even coming close. The St. Catherine's team, the year we won a national championship, we finished third behind Georgetown and St. Catherine.
Yeah, they were really good that year.
Xavier Keeling played at Indiana before he went to St. Catherine. He was really, really good. Kashif Carr played at St. Catherine, was probably one of the most talented guys we've ever played against. So I mean, there's been a ton, man. There's been a lot. And luckily we've had a few on our side to negate it a little bit.
I was gonna say KJ's the one that stands out in my mind. He was just he could do
KJ,
out there.
Yeah, KJ obviously is the only player we've ever had in our program history to win National Player of the Year. Phenomenal. Just was really hard to stop. We had a kid. I recruited a kid in 2014. I guess that KJ's junior year. KJ came off the bench his junior year with the team that we had. We had 4 All-Americans that year. Bruce Reed from Morehead State ended up being the player of the year in the league for us. But we had a kid named Kiala King who transferred. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school. He was in front of Deion Waiters and a bunch of those kids. Played at Mater Dei. Went to Arizona State, averaged like 12 a game as a sophomore at Arizona State. Transferred to Long Beach and came to us his senior year. He's probably he was drafted. Him and Vance Cooks here, the two that were drafted from the G League. But Kiala's probably the most talented, God-given ability kid that I've ever been around. I mean, he was a 6'5" point guard, could do everything. I mean, legitimate. You looked at him, you watched him play. That's what a 5-star recruit looks like. That's what those guys move differently, and he moved differently. He was really, really good.
Nice. Well, we've got about 1 minute left here, Ty. So what type of advice would you give somebody, that's a young person that's kind of trying to be like an aspiring head coach or assistant coach somewhere? What type of advice would you give that person?
Yeah, man, just be prepared for it to be tough and not give up. I mean, if that's what you want to do, it's you've got to find a way to grind it out. There's just you've got to make sure that you are doing the job that you got. Too many people want to get into it and want to try to do the jobs of somebody that's above them or the jobs of the assistant coach or the head coach. And, it's a long time. It was 11 years between the time I called a timeout as a JV coach to the time I got an opportunity to do it as a head coach. And during that time, I had to learn how to do my job and not worry about what other people were doing, other people's jobs. And that's a big thing in this business. People just want the easy route. They want the quick route. They want the money. They want the fame. They want the accolades. They want that kind of thing. And it just doesn't come very quickly or easily. So just mastering the job that you've got while learning the job that you want, I think is probably the best way of looking at it.
Quote awesome, that, Ty, at the end.
We will. That. We'll clip that. Well, appreciate it, man. We're going to get you to bed here. We got about 10 seconds left on this.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on, dude. And
thanks, Ty.
That's another episode of Why Not Us, fellas. Why not us?
We'll broker some NIL deals with Lincoln Road for you guys.
I like it. We should.
We should. All right.